Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hey everybody, happy Friday. It's Friday and I have so many updates for you. Welcome to J is for Justice. My name is Jay and I'm your host. Hey Riley, hey Lisa, Janice, you're still working. It's a couple hours earlier in Colorado, so you're not quite off yet. Hi Christopher Myers. Coffee and Conversation just let us know that Derek Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison. And nothing's up, man. There's a lot up. I have lots of updates. I just figured I'd throw them all into one video. Why not, right? So what do you guys want to hear about first? We've got like the felony bunch. It's not the Brady bunch. It's the felony bunch. So we got Chad and Lori Daybell, Vallow Daybell. We have Dane Kallungi. We have Chris Watts, the infamous. We have Barry Morphew. And we have Theresa Balboa. So, party people want Chris Watts. You want Chris Watts first? I hope that you guys are not busy this weekend because there's a few shows you're going to want to watch. So, let's talk about Christopher Lee Watts first. Guess what tonight is? Tonight is the Cellmate Secrets on Lifetime. The Cellmate Secret program is hosted by oh my God, I just had a mind blank. Angie Harmon. There we go. Angie Harmon. She was on Law and Order or one of those crime shows. I don't know. Criminal Minds, one of those. Anyhow, she's narrating this show. Tonight, it's all Chris Watts. Okay. And I have a little preview. If you guys haven't seen it already. Now, before I show the preview, I want to actually give kudos to the armchair detective. He's really stayed what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent with his channel, with his message. He's done the same thing. Viewers love him. And now Armchair Detective has gone global. So I want to give him a congrats. Yay, Armchair 80. But yeah, he gets a little shout out here. So let me pull up this clip if you guys are ready for that. And that's what creators should do. They should build up other creators. Even if you don't like a certain creator. I mean, why would I sit here and bash them? You know what I mean? What's the point? I don't know. All right, so let's go ahead and let me pull up my first update. This is the Christopher Watts update. Or wait, yes, it is. Sorry. Here we go. Look at old A freaking D. AD on the big screen. No, really, I think it's absolutely like fucking awesome when I see other creators like get on podcasts and have these types of things happen, because you know what it does? It helps every creator, because the way that people are getting their news is changing. It's changing because of YouTube, and it's changing because of what we're doing here. And I think it's amazing. I just think it's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and play. I have not watched this myself. I waited for you guys. So let's go ahead and let's roll it. Oh. So anyway, so that's That is also Chrissy, I think her name is. She used to go on AD's channel a lot. Um, she actually did an interview for this Lifetime Cellmate Secrets. And Sherilyn Cadle has an interview as well in this show. I was going to save the best for last, but I spilled the beans. So Sherilyn Cadle also speaks out about writing to Chris Watts, meeting Chris Watts in person, and what that was like for her. So this airs tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on Lifetime. Now, at like 8, they're playing the Chris Watts movie that they made. So that comes on first, and then it's going to be this Cellmate Secrets. So let's watch our little preview of Cellmate Secrets.
I need to talk to a detective about 2 missing children.
Oops, I was muted. I have no blocked peeps. Sorry. I think that you thought that was AD. That was a clip from tonight's Cellmate Secrets show. Chrissy gives him a shout out. I don't know if they play a clip of his or what, but definitely 10 o'clock tonight Eastern time on Lifetime. A quick congrats again to AD for his appearance. That thing I just played was on Entertainment Tonight. So, pretty cool stuff. You should have sound now. You guys can't hear me? Oh, live streams. You should be able to definitely hear me now. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that is the Chris Watts update. Nothing major, nothing. And all the stuff they're talking about is all old, right? Because they made this show like months and months ago. And because they even say in the show that she's still the fiance of Dylan Tallman. And I don't believe that's the case at all now. So, what's up, Heather J? Hey, Shell, brunch. Who else do I have in the house? Janice, I said hello to you. Hey, everybody else in chat. If you want to be green like the rest of the cool folks and have some cool emojis and stuff like that, go ahead and become a member. Before we move on to the next update, I want to address what Brunch Mom said. Absolutely, yes, 100%. I've been watching the collapse in Surfside, Florida. I just heard today from a friend of mine that they've been watching this area for a sinkhole for many, many years. Like, what did he say? I don't want to misquote. He said, okay, it says the county and the city were monitoring that structure for years, RE, for sinkhole problems below the foundation. Somebody really effed up on that. Yeah. So very, very sad. There's still, I think, 150 people not accounted for. It's horrible. It reminds me of the Oklahoma City bombing when that happened. The way that they're having to search through that rubble to find survivors is absolutely awful. Okay, our next update is going to be Lori Vallow, of course. We'll kind of throw Chad in there. We got Chad's court dates for his trial, and Shell will put those up in chat. I know she has them. I know it's pre-trial in November, and the actual trial, I believe, is in December. So long way off. I'm sure you Northerners do not want to think about December yet. You're just getting that nice weather. So let's see. Hey Megan, what's up? Yeah, it's so freaking sad. I've been watching the coverage because I'm down here in Florida, so it's all over, like our local news. All right, so our next update is on Lori Vallow. Another show tomorrow. So tomorrow, Saturday, Cellmate Secrets Cruise Watts is tonight. And then tomorrow is Lori Vallow Daybell. Her movie. It's called Doomsday Mother. Doomsday Mother. And I have a preview of Doomsday Mother. Lori Daybell, Vallow, whatever you want to call her. Okay, so let's take a look at the Doomsday Mother movie. This is a great weekend to stay in and just watch Lifetime. It's raining here in Florida, and we're fixing to get like a huge storm. And I might just be nestled in watching Lifetime myself. All right, so here we go. Lori Vallow Daybell, Doomsday Mother.
I need to talk to a detective about 2 missing children. Your mother's hiding something.
The mother's name.
I need to talk to a detective about 2 missing children. Your mother's hiding something.
The mother's name would be.
Lori Vallow.
The world is divided into 2 kinds of souls, the light and the dark.
Lori, can you tell me where your kids are?
God sent me a vision. Their beautiful souls need to be freed.
Did you do something to your children?
I've done nothing wrong.
Doomsday Mom, the Lori Vallow story, premieres June 26th today, only on Lifetime.
Hi, welcome back. Yes, I'm talking to you, Mama. But yeah, Lori Vallow Daybell, Doomsday Mother. Saturday. Saturday on Lifetime. What time was that one at? I can't remember. What time was Doomsday Mother? I want to say 8, but I don't know. Okay, so Chris Watts tonight. 1 hour dry floors, dude. I haven't seen you in forever. Forever. Chris Watts, they're playing the Chris Watts movie at 8. And then Cellmate Secrets is at 10 Eastern. 10 Eastern. So now tomorrow is the Daybell, the Doomsday Mother thingy. And that is, let's see. That's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So there's your second update. Your second update. Okay. Well, third update, Chad Daybell's trial. Did we get the dates the exact dates. We have exact dates for Chad Daybell's trial. Those are going to be put in chat. And now, the next update. Ready? Do. Barry Morphew. Barry Morphew's arrest affidavit has been sealed. We don't know anything. We can't even like watch court, listen to court at the same time. Oh, thanks, Nancy. Nancy's got the dates in chat. Let me see. Shoot, I don't see them, but I got to put it on live chat. I needed Megan's reminder. Okay, so yeah, props to Nate Eaton. He's got an actor playing him in the Doomsday Mother movie. That's pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool. All right, next one is Barry Morphew. Oh my gosh. Barry Morphew. So, you know how we saw that he was charged with like something about, you know, like, I can't remember what the charge was. It was something along the lines of him influencing like a official. Well, guess what Barry Morphew did? Barry. Hang on. I have to add something to this. Okay, so Barry Morphew, we haven't heard shit in a long time. So I came across this little tidbit today. When it was election time and Barry's wife was missing, he went and casted a vote. And he casted a vote for Trump in Suzanne's name. Did you guys know this? Like, did you guys know he did? So now it's turning into a political thing, Democrat versus Republican. And now the Democrats are using this against Trump. So if you're a Republican, or if you're not a Republican, if you're just a Trumpster, thank Barry Morphew for causing an issue. I had not heard that. If you guys had heard it, I apologize, but that was news to me. He filled out our ballot for Trump. So what it says here is he cast a pro-Trump ballot on behalf of his dead wife, whom he's also accused of murdering. According to the arrest affidavit, asked why he submitted the illegal ballot, and Morphew said, quote, "Just because I wanted Trump to win." He added that he believed, quote, "all these other guys are cheating." Kidding me? Morphew? What's wrong with you? Alrighty, now we are on to our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th update already. Is it? We did Chad, Lori. We did Chris. Oh no, we're on our 5th update. Theresa Balboa. The update on Theresa Balboa and the case of Samuel Olson. Samuel Olson is a little 5-year-old, who was missing from Houston, Texas, and ultimately his body was found in a or a plastic tote wrapped in some kind of plastic with duct tape. And the father's girlfriend was with the body. So the roommate was arrested. I know I reported that. But now they're saying that they may have the murder weapon that Theresa Balboa used to murder little Samuel. And I talked to someone early on about this case, that someone who knew the bio mom. And she said that Theresa had made a comment in the past, or a post on social media, about hitting someone over the head with a baseball bat. And she brought that up to me, and she was like, I wonder if that's what she did. So they have not released what that weapon is. So we wait for more info on that, per usual, but for good reason. Okay. Because I don't think anybody else, I don't think they're done arresting people. A third person has been arrested. What? Hold on. Oh, did that just happen? If it is, it's probably hot damn. 1 hour ago. Heather Howell. You are the girl. We've got another one. This must be the guy who drove her to the oh, I hate the Houston Chronicle. It's going to make me pay, isn't it? They've been calling me off the hook. Oh my God. Okay. Let me see if I can show y'all this picture. Okay, so this is the guy who drove her, I think, to the storage unit. This is the guy, or not to the storage unit, to that's what I meant, the Best Western. They picked up the bin that had Samuel in it, and he drove her to the Best Western and dropped her off. But I thought he called Crime Stoppers. I thought that he left there and called Crime Stoppers right away. Oh my God, I'm frozen. See, look, they won't let me read it. Wow, really? That's janky as hell. Houston Chronicle. Here, we're going to go to Click to Houston. Here we go. They both bonded out. I knew Rivera did. Well, it makes sense if Rivera did that this dude did. Right? You like that? The felony bunch. They are. They're the felony bunch. The felony bunch. And this is the way they became the felony bunch. KJAS. I've got this one right here. Let's watch it.
Now to new developments in the Samuel Olson case. A third person has now been charged in this case.
Court documents say 27-year-old Dylan Walker drove Theresa Balboa, who was dating Olson's father, to Jasper and rented out the room where Olson's body was found. He is charged with tampering with evidence. Also, court documents say Walker is the one who called Crime Stoppers. KPRC2's Jacob Rascone spoke with Walker's mother and has more on what she had to say about all this. Jacob?
Yeah, Lisa, his mother is shocked. She says she thought that her son did everything that he could to provide all the information that law enforcement needed. As you said, he is the one that led authorities to Samuel Olson's body, but court documents say that he did more than that. Police arrested Dylan Walker Thursday afternoon at his workplace. His mom says he did not resist and that they're both shocked because Walker led police to Samuel Olson's body. He called Crime Stoppers, a fact confirmed by court documents. But court documents also say Walker rented the hotel room where Samuel Olson's body was eventually discovered, and that Walker drove Theresa Balboa to that hotel in Jasper, along with Samuel Olson's body hidden in a plastic tote. Walker did, quote, intentionally or knowingly conceal the corpse of Samuel Olson with intent to impair its availability as evidence in the investigation, his indictment says. Legal analyst Brian Weiss.
He's charged as an accomplice. He's charged under the law of parties, which says share the crime, share the time.
3 people are now charged in connection to the 5-year-old's death. Theresa Balboa, the girlfriend of the boy's father, Ben Rivera, her roommate, and Dylan Walker. The first 2 charged with tampering with evidence of human corpse. Walker charged with tampering or fabricating physical evidence with intent to impair.
I think police and prosecutors have done a masterful job of lining up the pieces on the chessboard that will ultimately result in a checkmate of Theresa Balboa. Specifically, Theresa Balboa being charged with either capital murder, or injury to a child.
So both men charged here out on bond, and Theresa Balboa is still in jail. The DA's office says they have located or identified the potential murder weapon or the weapon used to kill Samuel Olson. They have not revealed what that is. Reporting live here in downtown, I'm Jacob Rascone. Lisa and Andy, back to you.
All right, Jacob, thank you.
I remembered to unmute. Yay me. Okay, so there's your update. Personally, what do you guys think about this guy being charged with tampering with evidence? So when was he supposed to call? I mean, I could see where they'd be upset that he didn't call investigators.
Sell your house as is. We make it simple. Homestead Road.
This dude called Crime Stoppers as soon as he dropped her off at the Best Western. I don't understand. So he paid for the room and he took her there. But when he picked her up at the storage unit, he wouldn't have known what she was getting unless she told him. They must know something we don't, because if he would be like a hero, he would get immunity if there wasn't more to the story. Bean Sprout, I agree. They're all shady. Angel A, are you a dog lover? Look at my doggy. Look at my poochie. Bella, can you say hi? Come here. Come here, girl. She was supposed to be headed to Louisiana. What's in Louisiana? Bella, say hi. Oh, she's a little camera shy. Say hi, Bells. Oh, my goodness. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that guy. He might, I don't know. He might end up getting nothing because, I don't know. That would deter people actually from calling Crime Stoppers. So I'm hoping that there's more to it. Oh, mine's a rescue too. Okay, so anything else on this case on Samuel Olson? Excuse me. Yeah, it is strange. There might be more to the story. Who thinks Dalton's next? Who thinks that Dalton is going to be next? She may have incriminated him. Anything's possible with these crazy people. All right, our last and final update is Dane Kallungi, or Kallungi. Dane Kallungi was married to a woman named U.S.C. U.S.C went missing in March of 2019. No one ever heard from her again. She just disappeared. No searches, nothing. Like nothing happened. Family's in the Philippines. Her mom's desperate for answers. Nothing. Her husband, Dane, moved from Colorado Springs to California within a few days after U.S.C.'s disappearance. Now, what's interesting about this is that Dane was caught. We all wondered, okay, because he was caught in New Mexico while he was working a job. He lived in California, but he was working in New Mexico. So they busted him in New Mexico because he told his ex-wife, the one he was married to before U.S.C, her name is Elaine, and he said that he killed U.S.C. But guess what? The phone call was recorded because he had told her this previously, and she went to police, and then the police had her record it, and they talked more about it. So I have the affidavit, and I'm going to go through that. And if you missed my live where I had Dane's coworker and friend, Callie, on, Callie told us a lot of stuff. He has spent the last 2 years with Dane working with him. So this is a friend who spent 14 plus hours in the car or on the road with Dane, doing their jobs. This is someone who worked on his motorcycle with Dane. This is someone who saw Dane just a few days before he was arrested. So no one knows if Dane is maybe feeling a little guilty. Maybe he wanted to clear his, I don't know why he came clean to the ex-wife, but he did. And she wasn't having it. So props to Elaine for doing the right thing. It's definitely a bonus when people in true crime do the right thing, because it doesn't happen all that much. So I'm going to go off camera here. So peace out. And then I'm going to read through this affidavit with you guys. And I have not read it yet either. I like reading it with you when it's new. So I'm going to be learning as you guys are learning about Dane Kallungi and the murder of his wife, U.S.C. And I know I say it different every time I say her name. Every time, it never fails. Okay. Bear with me. Here we go. And this is El Paso County, Colorado. which we've heard about this county plenty of times. Yes, Danny, we'll talk about summer when I'm done skimming through this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to skim through and find out what the dealio is. So Dane Kallungi was born on 12/23/1982. He is 38 years old. So he is charged with murder in the first degree. The victim is Kallungi Jepsi Adlawan Omega. And she was born November 25th, 1992. She was 28 years old. So Detective Michael Lee is a sworn police officer with the city of Colorado Springs and is assigned to the homicide unit. And this is from him. I have personal knowledge of the details concerning this investigation, which are documented in Colorado Springs Police Department report number 191949, titled Murder in the First Degree. On April 4th, 2019, officers of the Colorado Springs Police Department were dispatched to 1930 LaSalle Street 203 in the Arlen Arms Apartments to check the welfare for Jepsi Kallungi, date of birth 11/25/92. Lelaine Leipold placed the call from the state of Alaska, stating that she had not been able to contact Jepsi since March 20th of 2019. Officers did not make contact with Jepsi. So on April 4th is when someone realized, wait a minute, I haven't heard from Jepsi. And this person was in Alaska. Officers spoke with management who stated they had not seen Jepsi in weeks. Miss Leipold is a longtime friend of Jepsi Kallungi. They have known each other since high school. It is unusual for them to not talk on a regular basis. Miss Leipold is concerned that Jepsi is injured and possibly deceased. While looking at a premise history of law enforcement contacts, officers saw 4 separate calls for service dating back to March 28th, 2019. During each CFS, no contact was made with Jepsi. And then they have the 6 calls. On April the 4th, 2019, call screen, detailed Jepsi's husband, Dane Oliver Kallungi, date of birth 12/23/82, is former military and has access to weapons. Officer Mathis responded to the most recent call for service. Officer Mathis spoke to the reporting party, Lelaine Leipold, by phone and learned Jepsi was recently separated from her husband. Miss Leipold told Officer Mathis it is unusual for Jepsi to disappear without telling anyone, as she frequently makes contact by phone and is active on Facebook. Jepsi has not posted on Facebook for the several weeks and has not made contact with family or friends. Officer Mathis placed a call to Dane Kallungi to inquire about the whereabouts of his wife, Jepsi. Mr. Kallungi told Officer Mathis he was out of state visiting his father. Mr. Kallungi told Officer Mathis Jepsi left on Wednesday, March 27th, 2019 to go visit a friend named Gina. Mr. Kallungi said he has not heard from Jepsi since. Mr. Kallungi stated he has no idea where Jepsi is because she left him due to marital problems. Officer Mathis said Mr. Kallungi was nervous during their conversation, and he described Mr. Kallungi as being unconcerned about the whereabouts of his wife. Officer Mathis made multiple attempts to contact Jepsi by phone. Each call went directly to her personalized voicemail with herself, identifying herself by name. Officer Mathis has received no return phone calls. Officer Mathis again spoke with Miss Leipold, who told him Jepsi has a good friend named Gina Hanusiak in Chicago, Believing that Gina may be the person Mr. Kallungi was referring to, Officer Mathis got her phone number and called Miss Gina. She said she had not spoken to Jepsy since March 20th. So she had also been trying to reach her and could not. And then she told Officer Mathis that Dane had made threats to impede Jepsy's efforts to gain U.S. citizenship in order to control her behavior. Multiple friends of Jepsy called the police on April 4th, concerned for Jepsy's safety. One phone call was from her mother in Hong Kong, who mentioned possible domestic violence. Jepsy's mother also stated she had not heard from Jepsy in weeks, which is unusual. So on April the 4th, the officer contacted her friend Lelaine again to get further information about Dane and Jepsy. And she said that Dane and Jepsy had argued on multiple occasions about the relationship between Dane and his ex-wife, Elaine. Ooh, it's a lot on Elaine's shoulders here. Miss Leipold explained Jepsy believed the relationship between her husband and his ex-wife, whom they have a young child, is inappropriate. She said Mr. Kallungi left Jepsy for an extended period to stay with his ex-wife, leaving Jepsy alone in the apartment for about a week. Jepsy did not have access to transportation or food during that week. Miss Leipold said Jepsy threatened to report Mr. Kallungi to the police for abandoning her. This caused Mr. Kallungi to return a short time later. His ex lives in Colorado Springs, and Mr. Kallungi was known to see his child at least twice a week, if not more often. Miss Leipold said Jepsy often contacted her by phone and text to talk about her ongoing marital problems. Miss Leipold stated Mr. Kallungi and his ex-wife, Elaine, had conversations about their relationship with each other. We saw those texts. Some of them anyway. Miss Leipold said Mr. Kallungi is in frequent contact with Elaine Kallungi and may have talked to her about his relationship with Jepsy. Miss Leipold provided screenshots taken by Jepsy of an email from Dane to Elaine. Mr. Kallungi is telling his ex-wife he will not give her his new home address. He tells Elaine, when we had our conversation about Jepsy moving here, you got upset. You said you would come over and make her talk to you if she wouldn't agree to it. Later in the same email, Dane says, for the record, what happened before with Jepsy and us this past year was so completely wrong. For the record, what happened before with Jepsy and us this past year or so was completely wrong. I have apologized for everything I did to her, and I feel terrible about it. You should be apologizing too, instead of demanding a conversation with her again. Everyone makes mistakes in life. It doesn't have to be so hard to admit. The way you act about it now makes me wonder if it was a mistake for you at all, or if it was intentional. Oh, Lordy, what is he talking about? On April 4th, 2019, Dane contacted the manager of the apartment, Cynthia Gomez, to ask how to break his lease. The officer spoke to Miss Gomez, who said the Kallungis moved in March 1st, and she told Mr. Kallungi that he and Jepsy were both required to be present when it was terminated. He stated that Jepsy was unable to come to the office because she went home. Mr. Kallungi did not specifically give a location to where Jepsy's home is. It should be noted, with the assistance of an ICE agent, I later learned Jepsy has no outbound activity from the United States. Again, on April 4th, they executed a search warrant for Dane's home. They saw no obvious signs of a crime scene. He did note the lack of female clothing or other belongings, and they found ammunition, including a .30 caliber, .45 caliber, and a 9mm gun. Additionally, a .30.06 rifle was found in the hallway closet, and a .45 pistol was found in a black backpack. 9mm weapon was not located. Jepsy was entered into the missing person system on April 4th, 2019. On the 5th, the officer contacted Dane by phone. And Dane told him that he did not know where she was and that Jepsy left him due to an argument. So it's noted here that he told her that he told the officer that she left on March 27th and went to stay with Gina. And then he asked why he and Gypsy argued on March 20th. And he said he found text messages on her phone between her and a person named Travis. And he said it looked like they were planning to meet. The text messages are not date stamped, and nothing further was available about Travis. So he's saying that he's visiting his father a few days after his wife is missing. And he learned that Dane's father lives in California. He asked when he was returning to Colorado. Dane said he was going to be in Colorado Springs on April the 10th. He asked if Mr. Kallungi would sit down for an interview when he got back. Mr. Kallungi's answer was ambiguous, but he did not say no. I asked Mr. Kallungi if Gypsy had a credit card or debit. He said that she does have a debit card in the name of Gypsy Kallungi from U.S. Bank. On the 9th, he located Gina, who identified herself with her last name, Mayette. She did meet Gypsy at Julie's Kitchen on March 8th, 2019, and said she started speaking with Gypsy, who was with Dane and Dane's son. They exchanged phone numbers, but they did not exchange addresses. She sent a text to Gypsy on the 17th of March, inviting her to go to lunch. Gypsy turned her down because she said she was busy. And then he was shown those messages, and they were in Filipino, and they translated those. So on the 10th, he spoke again with Cynthia Gomez, the officer did, and Miss Gomez said Mr. Kallungi contacted her and terminated his lease, and he might not return to Colorado for a possible time span of 2 months. He gave a forwarding address of his ex-wife. With the assistance of the financial crimes detective who conducted a record search, I learned that Gypsy's credit card was last used on the 20th and 21st using a Square device. No transactions after that date. Sorry, I have to take a drink. My throat's getting dry. Okay, on April 15th, the officer spoke with Michael P., who owns a small business, Colorado Springs. Dane has been an employee of Mr. P. for the last 4 years. Mr. P.'s business is making pet supplies. Dane essentially did busy work, as in deliveries, etc. He said Dane contacted him between March 18th and 20th to ask time off for work. Dane told Mr. P he needed to go to Cali to talk to his father and get advice about personal matters involving his relationship. Mr. P was out of town and agreed to give him the week off. Mr. P said when he returned to Colorado Springs, he was surprised to learn that Dane was still in California. So Mr. P spoke with Dane on April 1st and learned Dane planned to stay in California indefinitely. Fafafui. Mr. P said Mr. Kallungi is still working for him on a part-time basis from California, and he's in regular contact with Dane. He said that he asked Dane where Gypsy is, and Dane said he did not know. Dane told Mr. P Gypsy wanted to go back to Chicago and then the Philippines. Mr. P said he did not understand because she seemed to be doing everything in her power to stay in the U.S. Mr. P said a black Toyota Supra belonging to Dane has been parked in the lot of his business for 2 weeks, though Mr. P could give no explanation why. Mr. P said Dane owns a second car and a motorcycle, but did not know where those vehicles were. So he confirmed Dane's phone number. April 6th, I reviewed call detail records belonging to 2 separate phone numbers belonging to Dane. Both these numbers are active and being used. So it shows his location. Looks like he was in Woodland Park, Colorado on the 29th. After he murdered Gypsy, he was over there by Dad with a phone. Mr. P is Dane's boss in Colorado. his ex-boss. So it shows Dane going to San Diego. But if you see here, that's where he drives back to California. So he drove out there. Okay, so on the 17th, detectives spoke with Daniel Garcia, a co-worker of Dane. Mr. Garcia told the detective he began working for Mr. P in February 19. Mr. Garcia said he convinced Dane to join a gym called Vasa Fitness and start working out. Dane did join the gym, but he and Mr. Garcia did not work out together. Mr. Garcia said during the week of March 18th, 2019, Mr. Kallungi began sleeping in his car during lunch break, even though he lived a short distance away. He also said that Dane seemed to stop eating during the week of March 25th. Mr. Garcia said he received a text from Dane on Saturday the 30th of March, in which Dane said he would not be going to the gym that day. Mr. Garcia thought that was strange because the two did not work out together. Mr. Kallungi sent a second text telling Mr. Garcia he was going to Buena Vista to visit his mother instead. During that conversation, Dane told Mr. Garcia he took Gypsy as a guest to Vasa Fitness on the 23rd or 24th. And Mr. Garcia said Gypsy did a leg workout and she had sore muscles. Mr. Garcia arranged to meet Dane at their workplace on Sunday, March 31st, for Dane to train Mr. Garcia on work-related activities. When Dane arrived, he apologized for being late. He and his son fell asleep in Woodland Park, Colorado. Excuse me. During their trip back from Buena Vista, Mr. Garcia said that sounded odd because the trip from Buena Vista to Colorado Springs is only 3 hours. On that same day, Dane told Mr. Garcia he was going to California for 1 week to visit his father. Dane called his ex-wife Elaine to come pick up their son because Dane was not going back to the apartment. So they confirmed that the black Toyota was parked in the lot on El Paso Street and Kallungi was driving his red Mazda. Okay, so now Gypsy's phone records show the following. On the 20th. Oh boy. So her cell connected to the cell tower right by the complex. Then her cell phone made a 911 hang up. And that is the last known outgoing phone call. Then her IP was picked up in Cripple Creek. And Dane's cell phone connected to a cell tower in the area of Woodland Park on 3/21/19. Records show that Gypsy's phone on the 22nd connect to a tower 273 in Cripple Creek. It's only a tower connection, not a voice call. Then her cell connected to a tower near LaSalle Street. And then North Academy Boulevard and North Union Boulevard in Colorado Springs. It was powered on briefly and downloaded for incoming messages. The content and origin is unknown. Dane Kallungi's cell phone connected to a tower near the same area approximately 20 minutes later. And his phone received those messages. So he texted himself, Chris Watts. On the 19th of 2019 of April, the detective went to Vasa Fitness and received membership records. It does show that Dane went on March 23rd and that he went alone. He also took Gypsy one time. The date he took her was March 16th, and he canceled his membership on the 15th of April. On the 19th, also, Elaine came to the police operations center where she agreed to be interviewed. Elaine, the ex-wife, told detectives that she was still in regular contact with Dane and was in contact with him earlier this same day. Elaine said that Dane was scheduled to return from California on April 9th, 2019. Dane told Elaine he flew back to Colorado 2 days early to talk to detectives. When Dane found that his apartment had been searched, he got spooked, immediately gathered his belongings, including the 2 firearms and the pistols, and he drove back to California in his red Mazda. He told his ex-wife then he planned to stay in California permanently. Daniel Fernandez is a Army sergeant, and he spoke to Colorado Springs and said, that he had an ongoing sexual relationship with Gypsy dating back to 2017. He last saw her March 15th. Sergeant Fernandez showed the officer a text message from Gypsy, time-stamped March 15th, 2019, giving her his address. There was a Tyler. He said he picked, I don't think that's his name, but that's what she had him in there as. His name is Daniel. He said he picked Gypsy up and later dropped her off back at 1930 East LaSalle. Sergeant Fernandez told Officer Mowry the reason he came to the police operations center was to report what he believes is the suspicious behavior of another Army soldier at Fort Carson, identified as Travis Dufour. Sergeant Fernandez said Mr. Dufour has liked numerous pictures on Facebook of Gypsy. Sergeant Fernandez said he contacted a friend named Skylar Beardsley on Instagram, who told him Travis Dufour was bad news and that he threatened her in the past. The nature of those threats were not described. So on the 23rd of April, they interviewed Travis, and he stated that he had an ongoing sexual relationship with Gypsy for about a year. He said he was with her on March 20th, at which that time they were intimate. Travis stated he picked Gypsy up at her apartment complex and then drove her to his barracks at Fort Carson. Records show that Travis checked Gypsy into his barracks at 17:21 hours on March 20th, and then he checked her out at 21:11 on March 20th. He drove her straight back to LaSalle Street and dropped her off. He did not go inside the apartment. Gypsy's Facebook records show messages from Gypsy to Dane stating Gypsy was going to be at Gina's earlier on March 20th. Facts of this investigation showed Gypsy was with Travis at Fort Carson during the time Dane thought she was with Gina. This confirms the possibility that Dane and Gypsy were arguing about Travis on the night of Gypsy's disappearance. Wow, so those text messages were real. Okay, so going back to, go to the 23rd. They reviewed Gypsy's Verizon account and found 2 voicemails. And then on March 20th, there is a hang up 911. We already talked about that. Elaine identified Ronald Kallungi as the father of Dane. During Elaine's phone contact with Dane, she learned he's staying with his father, Ron. Detective Joins searched in law enforcement bases for Ron and found his address. So, long story short, they found him in San Diego. So they conducted a search warrant in California and collected cell phones, laptops, all from Dane. And then they conducted a Mirandized interview with Dane. During the interview, Dane repeated the story that he said on April the 5th. And when he was questioned about the cell records, he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. On the 26th, Detective Bickle spoke to Elaine again regarding her past 15 years. Elaine spoke of multiple incidents of domestic violence dating back to 2006 in which Dane strangled her. One of those incidents is documented under Colorado Springs Call for Service 1523989 from 2015. Elaine described the 2015 incident, saying Mr. Kallungi put his left hand on her throat and strangled her while pushing her into a wall. How scary. Elaine told Detective Bickle that Mr. Kallungi strangled her 5 to 7 separate times. On more than one occasion, she lost consciousness from 30 seconds to 1 minute. Elaine said Dane used 2 hands when he strangled her, unless he needed to hold her down with a free hand. Elaine described an incident when Dane picked her up in the air by her throat. Good God. So then they interviewed Elaine's twin sister. She witnessed Dane pick up Elaine and hold her up in the air by her throat. She was living with Elaine and Dane at the time. Dane also blocked the doorway, preventing Elaine from leaving, and it turned physical when he grabbed her by the throat, lifted her 6 inches off the floor, and pushed her into the door jamb. Dane threw Elaine out to the side like a rag doll after strangling her. Her sister called police and immediately went to Elaine and saw the marks on her neck. That's May 1st, 2019. Fast forward to March 23rd, 2021. I received a phone call from Dane Kallungi, who told me Dane was going to be in Colorado Springs from March 25th to 28th due to an illness in the family. Elaine said that Dane asked her through email if the two could get together and talk while he's in town. On the 26th of April, Dane and Elaine ate lunch together in a Colorado Springs restaurant. During that conversation, Dane told his ex-wife that he killed U.S.C. Kallungi. On the 29th, Elaine contacted the detective to tell me what she learned from Dane. It took her 3 days. 3 days. She sat on it. I mean, I'm so glad she made the decision to call, but holy shit, 3 days? Well, she did the right thing, and then they asked her to do a recorded call. So she did the pretext call. The detective was present and recorded the conversation, and Dane gave details about a disturbance between him and Gypsy on March 20th, 2019. And this is what Dane had to say. Quote, I grabbed her, and I guess it was just like a second where I got pissed off, but I didn't even feel that pissed off. It was like I just turned around and was like, shut up. And I was sick of it. I mean, really, I was trying to like literally stop the words from coming out of her mouth. And for a second, and then I realized that I did that for more than a second. And it looked like I did some damage, and I freaked out, and it looked like she was suffering. Yeah, that's the part I think about still. It's looking at her eyes, you know? It was like, you know, I used to think about killing terrorists, and it was like, I don't know. I don't want to kill some little girl. I wanted to kill terrorists. Yeah, I was. I wasn't sure if I had already like killed her, and it was like the stuff you see in the movies about how people die. That is so not even how it happens. I was thinking about that. And I was also thinking about like, what, you know, is she going to go to the hospital and like she was already dead. It was just a matter of time. And like, I didn't want to watch her suffer anymore, but I didn't want to keep doing that. And it was all just really bizarre because I mean, it was like she was on the floor. I put her on the floor and like there was still some kind of breathing going on. And even though she was gone, and I just regretted that. And no matter how much I tell myself that I didn't mean to, or she was doing this, or she was doing that, and she was like, you know, she was like basically a prostitute. And I was like, it doesn't matter. She still didn't deserve it. Y'all, I'm shook. I am shook if. I don't even remember the exact details. I kind of got lost. I had her wrapped up in my car in the trunk. And I know it's like, yeah, it's freaking weird. Like sometimes I'm still going up. I can't believe I did that. And I'm like, there's no way I did that. But I did do that. So yeah, I drove to like Florissant area on back road, got lost on like 4 different back roads, and then found one where I could. I just went down and found a spot, dug a hole as deep as I could. I was digging until like 3 in the morning or something because it was like all muddy and really hard to dig in some places, and I started freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are going to start driving through here because it's not the middle of the night anymore. So yeah, she was in my trunk. And then after I drove to Florissant and found a spot, and like I just stuffed her. And hold on a second. Yeah, I went to Florissant, and no, I like said goodbye to her before I put her in there and tried to apologize a million times. Oh my God. This is absolutely horrible. And I am so sad for Gypsy's friends and family that have to hear these horrific details. Banksy, we were looking at his trunk when it was parked in San Diego. You're so right. You have a great memory. You're right. Ugh. So disturbing. And he looked at her like just a prostitute. But then he felt bad. But the way that he disposed of her and the way he freaked out reminds me a lot of the Watts case. And even though Chris has not spoken out and been able to formulate a true story like we just read in Dane's affidavit, I believe he probably had the same experience. In summary, information gathered during this investigation suggests that Dane Kallungi strangled Gypsy Kallungi in an act of domestic violence, causing her to be severely injured. He saw that Gypsy was suffering, which caused him to facilitate her death by his own hand. This incident occurred March 20th, 2019 inside apartment number 203 at the Arlen Arms apartment complex at or about 10:30 p.m. Dane then placed Gypsy's body into the trunk of his vehicle, took his son to school the following morning, then went to work. It's Chris Watts. Unbelievable. After work, he completed his workday, and then he took her body to a remote area in Teller County where he buried her. He then moved to San Diego, avoiding cooperation with this investigation. And there you have it. There was no action for 2 years until Dane hit up his ex-wife, came to Colorado Springs, and spilled his guts. It was eating him alive. It must have been eating him alive. And he must have felt comfortable that Elaine would keep his secret. And thankfully, Elaine didn't. Elaine did the right thing. Hi, Banksy. How are you? I haven't seen you in so long, Banksy. So that's the updates. We don't really have a summer update. That's why I didn't include her in this video. The only update we have is that they are still looking for Summer. They are still looking for her. They are confused on the last whereabouts of Summer. They're just doing everything that they can. Hi, Suzanne. You did make it. I'm about to get off here. But you can go ahead and hit that rewind button. Be kind and rewind. And when you're done watching this video, if you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, please. That's a free way to help me out. So I appreciate you guys all for listening, and appreciate you guys supporting me and my channel always. And I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Oh, and have a great weekend. Don't watch too much Lifetime.